I should have known something was wrong when my mother hugged me at the funeral. My name is Rosalind, and in 30 years of life, I could count on one hand the number of times Nadine had voluntarily touched me. But there she was, arms wrapped around my shoulders while the pastor droned on about Grandma Elisa's eternal rest, whispering in my ear like we were conspirators. This is so hard on all of us, honey, especially you. I stiffened. The last week had been a blur of hospital visits, funeral arrangements, and sleepless nights in Grandma's Lake Tahoe estate. While Paisley posted Instagram stories about processing grief through self-care, I'd been the one holding Grandma's hand when she took her last breath. I'd been the one sorting through her medications, calling relatives, picking out her burial dress. You did so much for her, Nadine continued, her voice thick with what sounded like genuine emotion. More than anyone should have to do alone. Across the cemetery, Paisley sobbed dramatically into a tissue, her perfectly contoured makeup somehow remaining intact. A small crowd of her followers had gathered, phones discreetly recording her authentic moment of loss. My sister had always been beautiful in that effortless way that made people stop and stare. Even grief looked good on her. She loved you so much, I managed to say, though the words felt hollow. She loved all of us, Nadine said, squeezing tighter. But you were special to her. You sacrificed so much. The word sacrificed hit differently than she probably intended. 3 years of weekend drives to Tahoe, 3 years of managing Grandma's appointments, her medications, her loneliness. 3 years of watching my own life shrink while Paisley built her influencer empire and Nadine climbed the social ladder in Sacramento. After the service, people clustered around our family, offering condolences and sharing memories. I watched Nadine work the crowd like she was running for office, graciously accepting casseroles and sympathy cards. Paisley held court near the parking lot, explaining to her followers how Grandma Elisa was basically my spiritual guide. Rosalind, sweetheart. Nadine appeared at my elbow again. Can we talk privately? We walked to a quiet corner of the cemetery, away from the lingering crowd. The November air bit through my black dress, but Nadine seemed immune to the cold. I've been thinking about the estate situation, she began, her voice dropping to that tone she used when discussing family business. It's going to be incredibly complicated. Trusts, tax implications, property transfers. Jerry says the paperwork alone could take months. Jerry was the family attorney, a man who'd known Grandma for decades, but treated me like an inconvenience whenever I called his office. I can handle complicated, I said. Oh, honey, I know you can. But you've been through so much already, and honestly... She glanced around, making sure we were alone. You know how these legal types can be. They respond better to people like me. People who speak their language. People with money, she meant. People with connections, people who weren't grieving granddaughters in thrift store dresses. What are you suggesting? Let me handle the estate proceedings. Just temporarily, until everything gets sorted out. I'll make sure you get everything Grandma wanted you to have. You know I will. Something cold settled in my stomach, but I pushed it down. This was my mother. These were the people I'd grown up with, the people who'd raised me. If I couldn't trust them, who could I trust? Paisley's struggling so much right now, Nadine continued. Her brand is taking off, but she's got all these expenses. And you're so stable, so responsible. You've always been the strong one, the reliable one, the one who cleaned up everyone else's messes while they got to be fragile and beautiful and loved. I just want what's best for everyone, I said finally. Of course you do. That's what makes you such a good daughter. 2 hours later, I sat in Nadine's pristine kitchen while she spread legal documents across the granite countertop. The papers seemed to multiply before my eyes, trust transfers, property deeds, bank authorizations. My head pounded from crying and exhaustion. Just a few signatures, Nadine said gently, placing a pen in my hand. I'll take care of everything else. Paisley drifted in and out, occasionally glancing at the papers with mild interest. She changed out of her funeral dress into yoga pants and an oversized sweater, looking impossibly young and carefree. This is so sweet of you, Ros, she said, squeezing my shoulder. I know Grandma would want us to take care of each other. I signed where Nadine pointed. Page after page, signature after signature, trusting that the woman who'd given birth to me wouldn't lead me astray. 2 weeks later, I opened my mailbox to find a letter from Trust Bank. Dear Miss Bond, thank you for completing the transfer of ownership to Ms. Paisley Bond. The Lake Tahoe estate and associated properties are now under her full control. My hands shook as I read it again. And again. Then I called my mother. Mum, we need to talk. Now. Nadine's voice came through the phone, bright and cheerful, like she was planning a dinner party. Oh, Rosalind, how are you, sweetheart? I was just thinking about you. I got a letter from Trust Bank about the estate transfer. A pause. Then, oh, that. Yes, well, the paperwork went through faster than expected. Isn't that wonderful? Wonderful, my voice cracked. Mum, that letter says Paisley owns everything. The house, the properties, all of it. Well, yes. We discussed this, remember? The legal complications were just too much for you to handle right now. You're still grieving. I stared at the letter in my shaking hands. I never agreed to give Paisley everything. I thought you were just helping with the paperwork. Honey, you signed the documents. I have your signatures right here. What documents? You said they were temporary transfers. Another pause, longer this time. When Nadine spoke again, her tone had shifted slightly. Less warm, more businesslike. Rosalind, I think you're confused. Grief can do that to people. Maybe you should talk to someone. I hung up and drove straight to Sacramento. Nadine's house sat in one of those gated communities where every lawn looked identical and every mailbox cost more than my monthly rent. I'd always felt out of place here, like I was wearing the wrong costume to a party where everyone else had gotten the memo. Paisley answered the door in a silk robe, her hair in a messy bun that probably took 20 minutes to perfect. Behind her, I could see designer shopping bags scattered across the marble foyer. Roz! What a surprise! I was just doing a little retail therapy. Grief shopping, you know. We need to talk. Of course. Come in. Want some kombucha? I just got back from this amazing wellness retreat in Napa. Did you know that crystals can actually help process trauma? I followed her into the living room, where Nadine sat on the white leather sofa, a glass of wine in her hand, despite it being barely noon. Rosalind, she said, not getting up. I thought we settled this on the phone. You stole Grandma's estate from me, Paisley gasped dramatically. Stole? Ros, that's such an ugly word. What would you call it? Nadine set down her wine glass with deliberate precision. I'd call it practical. Paisley has expenses, commitments. Her brand is exploding right now. She needs the stability. And I don't. You're 30 years old with no dependents, no major financial obligations. You live in that tiny apartment. You drive that old Honda. You don't need $12 million. The number hit me like a physical blow. 12 million. I'd known Grandma was comfortable, but I'd never imagined. Besides, Paisley added, examining her manicure, it's not like you're getting nothing. There's still the trust fund distributions. A few thousand here and there. A few thousand? I stared at her. Paisley, do you understand what you just said? She shrugged. Money isn't everything, Roz. You taught me that, remember? All those lectures about being grateful and humble. I looked between them. My mother sipping wine like we were discussing weekend plans. My sister treating $12 million like pocket change. Something crystallized in that moment. Something I'd been avoiding for years. You planned this, I said quietly. Oh, don't be dramatic, Nadine waved her hand dismissively. We saw an opportunity to simplify things. Paisley's young. She's got a whole life ahead of her. You're more... Settled. Settled, I repeated. You know what I mean. You've always been the responsible one. The one who doesn't need much. Paisley's different. She's got dreams, ambitions. What do you think I have? Nadine looked genuinely puzzled by the question. You have stability, a good job. You're fine. Paisley's phone buzzed and she glanced at it, her face lighting up. Oh my God, the Lake Tahoe house is going to be perfect for content creation. The views, the aesthetic, my followers are going to die. You're already planning to use it. Well, yeah. I mean, it's mine now, right? she showed me her phone screen, a Pinterest board titled Tahoe Mansion Makeover. I'm thinking boho chic meets modern minimalist. Maybe some neon signs for the Instagram wall. My grandmother's house. The place where she'd taught me to bake, where we'd sat on the porch watching sunsets over the lake, where she'd told me stories about her childhood during the Depression. Paisley wanted to turn it into a backdrop for selfies. I need to go, I said, standing up. Already? Paisley pouted. I wanted to show you my vision board for the renovations. I walked toward the door, my legs feeling disconnected from my body. Rosalind! Nadine called after me. I hope you understand this was for the best, for everyone. I turned back to look at them one more time. Nadine, perfectly coiffed and completely unbothered. Paisley, already back to scrolling through renovation ideas on her phone. Yeah, I said. I'm starting to understand a lot of things. I drove home in a daze and called the one person I trusted completely. Maya, it's me. I need your help. What's wrong? You sound terrible. My family just screwed me out of $12 million. A pause. Then Maya's voice, sharp and focused. I'll be right over. And Roz, don't sign anything else. Maya arrived with a bottle of wine, a box of tissues, and her laptop bag. She'd been my best friend since college, and the only person who'd never made me feel like I was asking for too much just by existing. Okay, start from the beginning, she said, settling onto my couch. And don't leave anything out, I told her everything. The funeral, the papers, the phone call, the smug look on Paisley's face when she talked about her vision board. Maya listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with each detail. Those absolute vultures, she said when I finished. Roz, this is fraud, plain and simple. But I signed the papers. Under false pretenses, your mother lied about what you were signing. Maya opened her laptop. I'm going to dig into this. What was your grandmother's full name? Elisa Bond. Maya's fingers flew across the keyboard. As a paralegal, she had access to databases that regular people couldn't reach. I watched her work, feeling a tiny spark of hope for the first time in days. Here's the thing that's bothering me, she said, scrolling through search results. Your grandmother was sharp, right? Like, mentally all there until the end? Completely. She was doing crossword puzzles the day before she died. So why would a smart woman leave her entire estate vulnerable to this kind of manipulation, especially when she knew how your family treated you? I thought about all those afternoons at Grandma's house, the way she'd watch me with those knowing eyes when I'd mentioned Paisley or Nadine. She'd never said anything directly critical, but there had been moments. Actually, I said slowly, there was something weird about 2 months before she died. Maya looked up from her laptop. Weird how? She asked me to drive her to some office building in town, said she had an appointment but wouldn't tell me what kind, made me wait in the car. Do you remember where? I closed my eyes, trying to picture that day. It was near the courthouse. One of those professional buildings with lawyers and accountants. Was she carrying anything? A manila envelope. And she made me stop at a FedEx place afterward. The memory was getting clearer now. She seemed, I don't know, satisfied, like she'd accomplished something important. Maya's eyes lit up. Roz, I think your grandmother might have been smarter than any of us realised. What if she filed something separately? Something your mother doesn't know about? Like what? Property deeds, maybe? Or a separate will? Maya was already typing again. I'm going to check the county recorder's office. If she filed anything in the months before her death, it would be public record. We spent the next hour going through online databases. Maya explained what she was looking for while I made coffee and tried not to get my hopes up. Holy shit, Maya whispered. What? Roz, come look at this. I leaned over her shoulder to see the screen. It was a property record from the Placer County Recorder's office, dated 3 months before Grandma's death. Grant deed, Maya read aloud. Grantor, Elisa Bond. Grantee, Rosalind Bond. Property, 1247 Lakeshore Drive, Lake Tahoe, California. My heart stopped. That's Grandma's house? Keep reading. The document listed not just the main house, but 2 other properties I'd never even known about. a rental cottage on the other side of the lake, and a small commercial building in downtown Tahoe City. Maya, what does this mean? It means your grandmother transferred these properties directly to you, outside of any trust or will. They're yours, legally and completely. Your mother's little paper shuffle doesn't touch them. I stared at the screen, not quite believing what I was seeing. But why didn't anyone tell me? Because nobody knew except your grandmother. And probably whoever helped her file this. Maya scrolled down to see the notary information. Look, it was notarized by someone at Tahoe Legal Services. We should call them. Wait, I said, remembering something else. That day she had me drive her to the office. When we got home, she made this weird comment. She said something like, "Sometimes you have to plan for the worst, darling. But don't worry, I've got everything handled." Your grandmother was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, Maya said admiringly. She knew exactly what your family was capable of. My phone buzzed with a text from Paisley. OMG, Roz, you should see the contractor quotes for the Tahoe house. This renovation is going to be amazing. I showed Maya the text. She grinned wickedly. Oh, this is going to be good. Should we call her right now and break the news? No, I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. Not yet. What do you mean? I looked at the property records again, then at Paisley's text about contractors and renovations. An idea was forming, cold and clear and absolutely perfect. I mean, let her renovate. Let her spend her money making my house beautiful. Let her post all the content she wants and build her brand around a property she doesn't actually own. Maya's grin widened. And then we serve her with eviction papers. Roz, you devious genius. But we need to be careful. We need a real estate attorney, someone who can make this bulletproof. Can you find one? I know just the guy. But first, let's get copies of all these documents, and Roz, yeah, don't tell anyone about this, not yet. Let them dig their own grave a little deeper first. I looked at Paisley's text again, imagining her picking out paint colours and furniture for a house that was already mine. For the first time since the funeral, I smiled. Trust me, I said. My lips are sealed. Over the next month, I became a professional stalker of my own sister's social media. Maya had connected me with David, a real estate attorney who specialised in property disputes. After reviewing all the documents, he confirmed what we already suspected. The Lake Tahoe properties were mine, free and clear. But he'd also given me advice that initially made my stomach turn. Don't act yet, he'd said during our first meeting. Let them invest time and money into the property. Document everything. The more they spend, the stronger your case becomes for damages. So I watched, and documented, and waited. Paisley's Instagram became my daily entertainment. She'd rebranded herself as a luxury lifestyle influencer and was documenting every step of what she called her dream home transformation. The hashtags alone made me nauseous. Aninchi Char's blessed life. Chas manifesting abundance. Like lake house vibes. Look at this, I said to Maya, showing her Paisley's latest post. We were sitting in the small rental cottage that I'd discovered was also mine, a cosy 2-bedroom place with a perfect view of the lake. I'd been staying there on weekends watching the chaos unfold across the water. The post showed Paisley posing with a contractor in front of the house. The caption read, "Breaking ground on my meditation garden today. Sometimes the universe just knows exactly what you need." Grateful, Narain, new beginnings. A meditation garden, Maya snorted. Your grandmother is probably rolling in her grave. Actually, she'd probably find this hilarious. She always said Paisley would get her comeuppance eventually. My phone buzzed with a call from Nadine. Rosalind, sweetheart, how are you holding up? I'm fine, Mum. Good, good. Listen, I wanted to give you a heads up. Paisley's having some work done on the Tahoe house, and she's planning a little housewarming party next month. Nothing too big. Just some friends and influencer colleagues. That's nice. She wanted to invite you, of course. I know things have been a bit tense since the estate situation, but family is family, right? I watched through my cottage window as a truck pulled up to the main house, workers unloading what looked like expensive outdoor furniture. Of course, I said. I'd love to come. Wonderful. Oh, and Rosalind, I'm so proud of how mature you're being about everything. It shows real character. After she hung up, Maya raised an eyebrow. You're going to their party? Wouldn't miss it for the world. The renovations continued at breakneck speed. Paisley documented every detail: the new kitchen with marble countertops, the infinity pool installation, the custom-built Instagram wall with perfect lighting. She'd hired a full production crew to film what she called lifestyle content throughout the house. But the real surprise came when I saw a familiar figure in one of her posts. Is that Kyla? Maya asked, squinting at my phone screen. It was. My ex-fiancé, the man who'd left me 3 years ago because I was too focused on family obligations, was now lounging by Paisley's new pool, drink in hand, looking perfectly at home. When did that happen? I asked, more curious than hurt. Maya did some digging through Paisley's older posts. Looks like about 6 weeks ago. Right around the time the estate transfer went through. Interesting timing. You okay with this? I studied the photo of Kyla and Paisley together, both of them glowing with the kind of happiness that comes from other people's money. Honestly, I felt nothing but relief. Kyla had always been attracted to easy success, and Paisley had always taken whatever she wanted. They deserved each other. I'm perfect with this, I said. In fact, it makes everything better. How so? Because now, when this all comes crashing down, I get to watch both of them lose everything at once. The party planning kicked into high gear. Paisley hired an event coordinator, a catering company, and a professional photographer. She'd invited what she called major influencers and lifestyle brands for what was essentially a commercial shoot disguised as a housewarming. Check this out, Maya said, showing me Paisley's latest story. She's calling it a night at the Bond estate. She's literally using your grandmother's name to brand her party. The story showed mood boards and vendor meetings, all tagged with sponsors. Apparently, several luxury brands were providing products in exchange for exposure at the exclusive Lake House event. She's making money off this party, I realised. A lot of money, from the looks of it. David, my attorney, was thrilled when I showed him the documentation. This is perfect, he said during our weekly check-in. She's not just living in your property illegally, she's running a business out of it. That's going to make the damages calculation much more interesting. How much more interesting? Well, let's just say your sister might end up owing you a lot more than just rent. The night before the party, I drove up to the cottage and watched the final preparations. Trucks came and went, delivering flowers, furniture, and what looked like a full bar setup. String lights were hung around the entire property, and a red carpet was rolled out from the driveway to the front door. Paisley appeared on the deck, directing workers with the confidence of someone who'd never doubted her right to be there. She was wearing a flowing white dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary, her hair perfectly styled for the dozens of photos that would inevitably be taken. My phone rang. It was Maya. You ready for tomorrow night? I've been ready for weeks. David filed the paperwork this afternoon. The eviction notice will be served Monday morning, right after their big party. I watched Paisley pose for test shots with the photographer, the lake sparkling behind her like something out of a fairy tale. Perfect timing, I said. Let them have their moment in the sun. And then? And then they find out the sun was never theirs to begin with. The party was everything Paisley had promised and more. I watched the live stream from my cottage, a glass of wine in hand, and Maya beside me with a bowl of popcorn. The production value was incredible. Professional lighting, multiple camera angles, and a steady stream of beautiful people posing against the backdrop of what they all believed was Paisley's lake house. Welcome to the Bond estate, Paisley's voice carried across the water as guests arrived. She positioned herself at the front entrance, greeting everyone like she was hosting the Met Gala. The Bond estate, Maya muttered. She's really committed to this fantasy. The guest list was impressive. I recognised several influencers with millions of followers, a few local celebrities, and what looked like representatives from major brands. Paisley had clearly leveraged this party into a massive networking opportunity. Kyla appeared on screen, looking comfortable in an expensive suit I definitely hadn't bought him. He was playing the role of supportive boyfriend, holding Paisley's purse while she posed for photos and nodding along as she explained her vision for the property. "And this is just the beginning," Paisley was saying to someone's camera. "We're planning to turn this into a retreat space for wellness influencers. A place where people can come to disconnect from the chaos and reconnect with luxury." "She's already planning the next phase," I said. "Good. More evidence." Around 9 o'clock, Paisley called for everyone's attention. The crowd gathered on the deck overlooking the lake, champagne glasses catching the string lights. Someone had set up a microphone system. "I just want to say a few words," Paisley began, her voice carrying perfectly across the water. "6 months ago, I was just another girl with a dream, but the universe has a way of providing exactly what you need, when you need it." The crowd murmured appreciatively. Someone shouted, "You deserve this!" "My grandmother always told me that abundance flows to those who are ready to receive it, and I think she'd be so proud to see how I'm honouring her legacy by sharing this beautiful space with all of you." Maya made a gagging sound. "Honouring her legacy?" "She's really going for it," I said, impressed despite myself by the sheer audacity. "This house represents more than just a home to me," Paisley continued. "It represents the power of manifestation, the importance of family, and the beauty of following your authentic path. My sister Rosalind, bless her heart, she's more of a simple living type. She wouldn't know what to do with a space like this. But I see the potential here. I see the magic." The crowd applauded. Someone started chanting, "Speech! Speech!" and Paisley beamed like she'd just won an Oscar. "I want to dedicate this evening to my grandmother Elisa, who taught me that we're all worthy of beautiful things. And to my mother Nadine, who helped make this dream possible. Family isn't just about blood. It's about supporting each other's highest good." More applause. I watched Nadine dab at her eyes with a tissue, playing the role of proud mother perfectly. And of course, to my amazing boyfriend Kyla, who's been so supportive of this journey. "Baby, come here!" Kyla joined her at the microphone, slipping his arm around her waist. "I just want to say how proud I am of Paisley for creating this incredible space. She's turned this house into something magical, and I can't wait to see what she does next." They kissed for the cameras while the crowd cheered. The live stream comments were flowing fast. Hearts, fire emojis, and dozens of people commenting about relationship goals and living the dream. "Oh, this is perfect," Maya said, screenshotting the kiss. "David is going to love this footage." The party continued past midnight. I watched influencers pose in every corner of the house, brands showcasing their products against the backdrop of the renovated rooms, and Paisley holding court like she was born to this life. Around 1 a.m, most of the guests had left, but the core group remained. Paisley, Kyla, Nadine, and a few close friends sat around the fire pit, sharing what looked like an expensive bottle of champagne. "I can't believe this is real," Paisley was saying, her voice slightly slurred from celebration. "Like, 6 months ago I was stressed about rent, and now look at this place. Look at this life." "You manifested it, baby," Kyla said, raising his glass. "You put it out into the universe, and it came back to you." "To manifestation!" someone shouted. "To family!" Nadine added. "To getting everything you deserve." Paisley laughed. They clinked glasses as the fire crackled between them, the lake reflecting the flames like scattered diamonds. Maya and I watched in silence for a moment. "You know what the crazy part is?" I said finally. "What?" "Part of me is actually happy for them. They look genuinely joyful, even though they stole everything from you. Especially because they stole everything from me. Because tomorrow morning, when that sheriff shows up with the eviction notice, this moment right here, this perfect, beautiful, completely delusional moment, is going to be the last time they ever feel this good about what they did." Maya grinned. "You're kind of scary when you're vindictive." "I learned from the best," I said, raising my wine glass toward the main house. "Thanks for the lesson, Grandma." The live stream finally ended around 2 a.m, with Paisley blowing kisses to the camera and promising so much more amazing content from the Bond estate. I closed my laptop and went to bed, setting my alarm for 8 a.m. I didn't want to miss the show. I was drinking coffee on my cottage deck when the sheriff's car pulled up to the main house at exactly 9 a.m. Deputy Martinez stepped out, official papers in hand, and walked up the front steps like he was delivering a pizza. The red carpet from last night's party was still there, looking sad and wrinkled in the morning light. He knocked 3 times, waited, then knocked again. Through my binoculars, I watched Paisley stumble to the door in a silk robe, her hair a mess from the party. Even from across the lake, I could see her confusion as she took the papers. Then I heard the scream. It carried across the water like a siren, high-pitched and full of rage. Paisley was waving the eviction notice in the air, shouting something at the deputy who was already walking back to his car. My phone rang. "Rosalind!" Paisley's voice was so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "What the hell is this?" "Good morning to you too, Paisley." "How was the party?" "Don't you dare play dumb with me. There's a sheriff at my door saying I have to vacate the property. This is insane." "Your property?" I asked calmly. "That's interesting. According to the county records, it's actually my property." "That's impossible." "Check the deed, Paisley. Grandma transferred the house to me 3 months before she died. Turns out she was smarter than any of us gave her credit for." The line went quiet for a moment. Then, "You're lying." "Am I?" "Why don't you call your lawyer and find out?" I heard muffled voices in the background, Kyla asking what was happening, Nadine demanding to see the papers. "This is fraud!" Paisley shrieked. "You can't just steal someone's house." "You're absolutely right," I said. "You can't just steal someone's house. Which is exactly why you need to be out by November 15th. "That's 10 days. "I know, I can count." More muffled arguing, then Nadine's voice came on the line. "Rosalind, sweetheart, I think there's been some kind of mistake. Let's all just calm down and figure this out like adults. There's no mistake, Mom. Grandma made sure of that. But honey, you signed the trust documents. We have your signatures." "For the trust, yes. But the house was never part of the trust. Grandma deeded it directly to me, along with the cottage and the commercial building downtown." Silence. Then Nadine's voice, much colder now. "You knew about this." "I found out after you stole everything else from me, yes. We didn't steal anything. We were trying to help you. By lying to me. By tricking me into signing away my inheritance while I was grieving. You don't understand the complexities. I understand perfectly. You saw an opportunity to take care of your favourite daughter, and you took it. The only problem is, Grandma saw you coming from a mile away." Paisley grabbed the phone back. "This is ridiculous. I've put thousands of dollars into this place. I have contracts with brands. I have a whole business built around this house. That sounds like a you problem. Rosalind, I swear to God, if you don't fix this right now..." "You'll what? Sue me? With what money?" "Oh wait, that's right. You spent it all on renovations for a house you don't own." I could hear Kyla in the background. "Baby, maybe we should call Jerry." "Yes," I said. "Call Jerry. Call anyone you want. The deed is public record. The eviction is legal. You have 10 days. "I'm not leaving," Paisley said, her voice shaking with rage. "This is my house. I manifested this. The universe gave this to me." "The universe didn't give you anything, Paisley. Grandma did. And she gave it to me." I hung up and immediately called Maya. "How'd it go?" she asked. "Better than I hoped. Paisley's having a complete meltdown, and Nadine's trying to figure out how to spin this. Are you recording any of this?" "I don't need to. Paisley's doing it herself." I opened Instagram, and sure enough, Paisley was already posting. Her stories showed her pacing around the house, papers scattered everywhere, talking rapidly to the camera. "You guys, the most insane thing just happened," she was saying, her makeup smeared and her voice shaky. "Someone is trying to steal my house. Like, literally steal it. They're saying my grandmother's estate transfer wasn't legal, which is completely crazy because I have all the paperwork." The comments were already pouring in. "OMG, what? Call the police? This is so unfair." "I'm not going anywhere," Paisley continued. "This is my home. I've put my heart and soul into this place. No one can just come and take away what's yours, right? That's not how the world works." Maya texted me. She's live streaming her own eviction. This is incredible. My phone rang again. This time it was Jerry, the family attorney. Rosalind, I think we need to talk. Hello, Jerry. I was wondering when I'd hear from you. There seems to be some confusion about the estate documents. No confusion on my end. I have a legally recorded deed that predates any trust transfers. Pretty straightforward. Well, yes, I see that now. But surely we can work something out. Family shouldn't fight like this. You're right. Family shouldn't lie to each other either, but here we are. What do you want, Rosalind? I want them out of my house in 10 days. I want compensation for the unauthorised use of my property. And I want an apology. An apology? From all of you? For treating me like I was too stupid to notice when you were screwing me over? Jerry sighed. I'll talk to them. You do that. But Jerry, the eviction stands. 10 days. I hung up and watched another sheriff's car pull up to the house. This time, it was to serve Kyla with papers. Apparently, David had been busy. My phone buzzed with a text from Maya. Turn on Channel 7. This is about to get very interesting. I flipped on the TV just in time to see a news van pulling up to the main house. Somehow word had gotten out. And now the whole world was about to watch my family's dirty laundry get aired in public. I poured myself another cup of coffee and settled in to enjoy the show. The news story broke at noon. Influencer evicted from grandmother's estate in Family Feud, read the headline scrolling across Channel 7. The reporter, a polished woman in a red blazer, stood in front of the main house while Paisley paced behind her, gesticulating wildly at anyone who would listen. The situation began when 27-year-old lifestyle influencer Paisley claimed inheritance of this $12 million Lake Tahoe estate, the reporter was saying. But court documents reveal the property was actually deeded to her older sister months before their grandmother's death. My phone hadn't stopped ringing. Maya, David, reporters and numbers I didn't recognise. I'd turned it to silent and was watching the chaos unfold like a movie. Paisley had clearly decided that going public was her best strategy. She'd set up what looked like an impromptu press conference on the front lawn, still in her silk pyjamas but with fresh makeup hastily applied. This is about more than just a house, she was telling the cameras. This is about family betrayal. My sister waited until I'd invested my entire life savings into this property, and then she tried to steal it from me. A reporter shouted a question. But isn't it true that the property was legally deeded to your sister before your grandmother died? That's what she claims. But we're going to fight this. My grandmother wanted me to have this house. She told me so herself. I nearly choked on my coffee. Grandma had barely tolerated Paisley's visits, and everyone knew it. The camera panned to show Kyla loading suitcases into a BMW. Smart man. He was getting out before the ship fully sank. Kyla! A reporter called. Any comment on the situation? He paused, looked directly into the camera and said, I just want what's best for Paisley. This whole thing is really unfortunate. Then he got in the car and drove away. Paisley's face crumpled as she watched him leave. For a moment, she looked genuinely heartbroken instead of just angry. My phone buzzed with a call from Nadine. Rosalind, you need to stop this right now. Stop what? The media circus. Do you see what's happening? Our family business is all over the news. I didn't call the reporters, Mom. That was all Paisley. She's trying to defend herself. You've humiliated her. I've corrected a legal error. There's a difference. Legal error? Nadine's voice rose. You planned this. You knew about that deed the whole time. I found out after you tricked me into signing away everything else. And you know what? I'm glad I did. Because now I get to watch you both learn what consequences feel like. She's your sister. She's a stranger who happens to share my DNA, just like you. The line went quiet. When Nadine spoke again, her voice was ice cold. Fine. You want to destroy your own family? Go ahead. But don't come crawling back when you realise what you've lost. What I've lost? Mum, you stole $12 million from me. What exactly do you think I'm losing here? You're losing us. I lost you the day you decided Paisley was worth more than I was. This is just me finally accepting it." She hung up. On TV, the story was getting bigger. Social media had picked it up, and the hashtags were brutal. Paisley exposed. Yes, fake influencer. Yes, karma is real. Her follower count was dropping in real time. Maya arrived with Chinese takeout and a bottle of champagne. "This is insane," she said, settling onto my couch. "It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion." "Look at this," I said, showing her my phone. Someone had created a TikTok compilation of Paisley's manifestation posts next to news footage of the eviction. It had 3 million views already. "The internet is ruthless," Maya said. "But also kind of brilliant." We watched as more news vans arrived. Paisley had barricaded herself inside the house, but reporters were interviewing neighbours, former friends, even people from her yoga studio. The story was writing itself. Around 6 p.m, David called with an update. "The brands are pulling out," he said. 3 major sponsors have already terminated their contracts with her. Apparently, being associated with fraud isn't good for business. What about the damages? "We're looking at significant compensation. Between the unauthorised commercial use, the renovations she can't afford to pay for, and the legal fees, she's going to owe you quite a bit." "How much?" "Conservatively, around 200,000, maybe more." I looked across the lake at the house, where lights were on in every room. Paisley was probably trying to figure out how to spin this disaster into content. "She doesn't have $200,000, I said. "No, she doesn't. Which means she'll have to liquidate everything. The car, the designer clothes, probably even her engagement ring from Kyla. They were engaged," were being the operative term. He filed paperwork this afternoon to remove his name from all her accounts. Maya whistled low. "Brutal." "It gets better," David continued. "Apparently, she took out loans against the property to pay for the renovations. Loans she can't repay now that she doesn't own the house. So she's not just broke, she's in debt. Deep debt. And the lenders are already calling." I hung up and stared out at the main house. In 24 hours, Paisley had gone from lifestyle influencer to public laughingstock. Her boyfriend had abandoned her, her sponsors had dropped her, and she was facing financial ruin. "Do you feel bad for her?" Maya asked quietly. I considered the question. Did I feel bad watching my sister's life implode on national television? "Ask me tomorrow," I said, "when she's actually gone." But even as I said it, I knew the answer. Paisley had made her choices. She'd built her empire on lies and other people's money, and now she was learning what happened when the foundation crumbled. I didn't feel bad for her. I felt free. The moving truck left on November 14th, one day before the legal deadline. I watched from my cottage as the last of Paisley's belongings disappeared down the driveway. She'd managed to salvage some furniture and her clothes, but most of the expensive renovations stayed with the house. The infinity pool, the marble countertops, the custom lighting, all mine now. Maya knocked on my door around sunset, holding an envelope. "This was taped to your front door at the main house," she said. The envelope was cream-coloured, expensive paper. My name was written across it in Grandma's careful handwriting. "She left this for you." "Apparently." David found it in the safe when he was doing the final property inventory. I opened it carefully. Inside was a key and a handwritten note. "My dearest Rosalind, if you're reading this, then my little insurance policy worked exactly as planned." The key opens the desk drawer in my bedroom, the one you always wondered about but were too polite to ask. I hope you'll forgive an old woman for her dramatics, but I needed to be sure you'd get what you deserved. Not just the money, but the satisfaction of watching justice work itself out. The cottage by the lake has always been my favourite spot. I think you'll find it suits you better than that big house ever could. All my love. Grandma Elisa P.S. There's one more surprise in the drawer. Consider it a housewarming gift. Maya and I walked over to the main house together. It felt strange being inside without Paisley's chaos filling every room. The space seemed bigger, quieter, more like the home I remembered from my childhood visits. Grandma's bedroom was exactly as she'd left it. I used the key to open the locked drawer in her antique desk. Inside was another deed. "What now?" Maya asked, reading over my shoulder. The cottage, I said, staring at the document. She deeded the cottage to me separately. It's not part of the estate at all. Why would she do that? I found the answer in a second letter, this one shorter. The cottage is yours free and clear, no matter what happens with the rest. I wanted you to have one place that could never be taken away, never be contested, never be touched by family drama. A place that's just yours. Build your life there, sweetheart. You've earned your peace. Maya wiped her eyes. Your grandmother was something else. Yes, she was. We locked up the main house and walked back to the cottage. My cottage, apparently. The place I'd been staying for weeks without even knowing it was mine. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Ross, it's Paisley. Can we talk? I showed Maya the message. You going to respond? Eventually, but not tonight. The next morning, I drove into town to meet with David for the final paperwork. The main house would go on the rental market. Luxury vacation rentals brought in serious money in Tahoe. The commercial building downtown was already generating income from 3 small businesses that had been renting there for years. What about the damages? David asked, sliding papers across his desk. Forget them. Forget them? Rosalind, she owes you over $200,000. She doesn't have it. And honestly, watching her lose everything was payment enough. David raised an eyebrow but made notes on the file. You're cool. What about the trust fund situation? We could still pursue fraud charges against your mother. No, let it go. You're being very generous to people who try to screw you over. I'm not being generous. I'm being smart. Revenge is like a fire. If you're not careful, it burns down your own house too. I signed the papers and drove back to the cottage. There was a package waiting on my doorstep, a small box with no return address. Inside was a flash drive and a note. Thought you should have this. Jerry. I plugged the drive into my laptop. It contained a video file dated 3 months before Grandma's death. The timestamp showed it was recorded the same day she'd asked me to drive her to that mysterious appointment. The video showed Grandma sitting in what looked like Jerry's office, speaking directly to the camera. If anyone is watching this, it means my family has done exactly what I expected them to do, she said, her voice clear and strong. Rosalind, sweetheart, I hope you'll forgive me for not telling you about the deeds directly. I needed you to discover your own strength first. She paused, adjusting her glasses. Nadine, if you're watching this too, and I suspect you are, I want you to know that I see exactly who you've become. The way you've treated Rosalind, the way you've favoured Paisley, it breaks my heart, but it doesn't surprise me. The video continued for another few minutes, Grandma explaining her reasoning, her hopes for my future, and her disappointment in the rest of the family. I'm not trying to destroy anyone, she concluded. I'm trying to save the one person in this family who still has a good heart. Rosalind, build something beautiful with what I've left you. You deserve happiness. The video ended. I sat in my cottage looking out at the lake and realised something had shifted. The anger was gone. The need for revenge had burned itself out. What remained was something I hadn't felt in years, contentment. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Paisley. I know you probably hate me, but I need to say I'm sorry for everything. This time I responded, I don't hate you, I just don't trust you. There's a difference. Can we start over? No. But we can start from where we are now. What does that mean? I looked around my cottage, and small, cosy, mine, and typed back, it means I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and you'll figure out where you're supposed to be too. I didn't wait for her response. Instead, I opened my laptop and started researching something I'd been thinking about for weeks. A foundation for caregivers who'd been financially abused by family members. Grandma had left me more than just property and money. She'd left me a purpose, and for the first time in my life, that felt like enough.